What if the richest plant source of omega-3 in the world has been growing quietly in gardens and roadsides for centuries, while most people spend money on fish oil capsules every single month? Across Asia, there is a leafy herb that contains up to 64% omega-3 fatty acids in its seeds. That is more than fish oil alternatives like flax, more than chia, more than almost any plant ever tested. Yet in much of the Western world, very few people even recognize its name. On this channel, Low Input Living, we focus on plants that work hard without demanding much in return. This herb fits that philosophy perfectly. It feeds you, it supports your health, and once you plant it, it often keeps coming back on its own year after year. In Korea, it is a common part of everyday meals. Families wrap grilled meat in its broad green leaves. In Japan, it is known as shiso and is served with raw fish, not just for decoration but because it helps protect against harmful bacteria. In China, it has been used in traditional medicine for thousands of years to support digestion, ease coughs, calm nausea, and reduce inflammation. But here is something interesting. While herbs like basil, oregano, rosemary, and mint are familiar in Western kitchens, this plant never became part of that cultural conversation. One reason is simple confusion. It has different names in different countries. Korean families call it by one name. Japanese cooks use another. Chinese medicine texts use another. Botanists classify it under a Latin name that most people never hear. Without one clear identity, it never secured a place in Western cookbooks, grocery stores, or research programs. Meanwhile, in Asia, it was never forgotten. Ancient Chinese medical texts written nearly 2,000 years ago described using the leaves for respiratory problems and the seeds for digestive support. In Korea, a major medical encyclopedia completed in the early 17th century documented many different uses for this plant. That book guided physicians for generations. Yet it was not translated into English until the late 20th century. For hundreds of years, that knowledge remained locked behind a language barrier. In Japan, during the Edo period, most farming households grew this plant. It served multiple roles at once. The leaves were food. The dried parts were medicine. The seeds were pressed for oil that could be used in lamps before electricity was common. One crop provided nourishment, healing support, and light. From a homesteading perspective, the most important trait is not just nutrition. It is persistence. One mature plant can produce thousands of seeds in a single season. A very high percentage of those seeds will sprout. They can remain viable in the soil for years. Plant it once during a good season and you may see it return the following spring without any extra work. In many villages, patches have grown in the same place for generations. That is what we call naturalization. It becomes part of the land. You are not replanting every year. You are managing and harvesting something that has chosen to stay. The leaves themselves are impressive. They contain meaningful levels of protein for a leafy green. They provide calcium, iron, and vitamin A in amounts that compare well with many popular greens. You can harvest them throughout the growing season and use them fresh in salads, soups, wraps, or dry them for tea. But the real nutritional treasure is in the seeds. When researchers analyzed the oil pressed from these seeds, they found extremely high levels of alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based form of omega-3. In some samples, the concentration reached 64%. For comparison, flaxseed oil is usually lower than that, yet flax is widely promoted as a superfood. So why did fish oil become the dominant omega-3 source in Western markets? In the 20th century, researchers studying Arctic populations observed low rates of heart disease in groups that consumed large amounts of fish. Omega-3 fatty acids were identified as a key factor. From there, fish oil supplements entered the market. Over time, a large industry formed around harvesting, refining, encapsulating, and shipping these products worldwide. Today, the global omega-3 supplement market generates billions of dollars each year. Fish oil leads the category. There are also krill oil and algae-based options. All of them require industrial processing and distribution systems. Now compare that to a self-seeding plant that grows in ordinary soil and produces oil-rich seeds that can be pressed with simple tools. There is no patent on pressing a seed. There is no annual purchase requirement if the plant reseeds itself. From a low-input perspective, it is hard to compete with that. Modern research is slowly catching up to what traditional cultures have practiced for centuries. While thousands of studies focus on fish oil and commercial omega-3 products, a much smaller but growing body of research has examined this remarkable herb and its compounds. When scientists search medical databases for fish oil and omega-3, they find tens of thousands of published papers. When they search for this plant by its botanical name, the number is dramatically smaller. That difference does not automatically mean one works and the other does not. It often reflects where research funding flows. Large industries fund studies that support their products. A self-seeding backyard plant rarely attracts that level of investment. Even with limited funding, the results that do exist are worth paying attention to. One area of study involves allergies and inflammation. Researchers in Japan conducted clinical trials using extracts from the leaves in people with seasonal allergies. Participants who received the extract experienced a significant reduction in symptoms compared to those who did not. Scientists identified compounds such as rosmarinic acid as key contributors. This compound helps regulate inflammatory pathways in the body. Interestingly, this plant contains more rosmarinic acid than many well-known culinary herbs. Inflammation is not only related to allergies. It plays a role in joint discomfort, metabolic disorders, and many chronic conditions. While no single plant is a cure-all, the presence of natural anti-inflammatory compounds makes this herb a valuable addition to a diversified diet. Other studies have explored its potential role in metabolic health. Research from Korean institutions examined how leaf extracts influence blood sugar levels after meals. In some trials, participants experienced meaningful reductions in post-meal glucose spikes. For people focused on stabilizing blood sugar through diet and lifestyle, adding supportive foods can be part of a broader strategy that includes exercise, fiber intake, and reduced processed sugars. There has also been laboratory research into certain unique compounds found almost exclusively in this plant. One of them, called perylaldehyde, has been studied for its biological activity, including antioxidant and potential protective effects at the cellular level. Most of this research is still early stage, and it should not replace medical care. However, it highlights how much chemical diversity exists in plants that are rarely discussed in mainstream nutrition conversations. From a nutritional standpoint, the seed oil remains one of the most impressive aspects. Alpha-linolenic acid is an essential fatty acid. That means your body cannot produce it on its own. You must obtain it from food. While the body can convert a portion of this plant-based omega-3 into other forms used in the body, the conversion rate varies from person to person. Even so, having a reliable homegrown source of alpha-linolenic acid can reduce dependence on store-bought supplements. For those of us interested in low-input systems, the bigger lesson goes beyond one plant. It is about resilience. When knowledge is tied to language, geography, and culture, it can remain invisible to others for generations. Important information published in Korean, Japanese, or Chinese journals did not always make its way into English databases. That gap is shrinking now as global collaboration increases, but the plant never stopped growing while institutions debated and translated. It continued to reseed itself in gardens and along field edges. It continued to be harvested by families who did not need a marketing campaign to value it. This is an important mindset shift for anyone pursuing self-sufficiency. Not every solution comes in a bottle with a label. Sometimes it comes as a seed that multiplies quietly in the soil. In practical terms, growing this plant is straightforward. It prefers full sun but tolerates partial shade. It adapts to a range of soils as long as drainage is reasonable. After the last frost, seeds can be sown directly into prepared ground. They are small, so they should be pressed lightly into the surface rather than buried deeply. Germination usually occurs within a couple of weeks when temperatures are warm. Spacing of about 12 inches between plants gives them room to branch. However, they are forgiving and can handle tighter spacing if needed. During the first few weeks, consistent moisture helps young plants establish strong roots. Once established, they become more tolerant of dry conditions. The leaves can be harvested continuously. Regular picking actually encourages bushier growth. Toward the end of the season, the plants will flower and set seed. If you allow some of those seeds to mature and drop, you will likely see volunteers emerge the following spring. That is where this plant truly shines in a low-input garden. Instead of starting from scratch every year, you begin managing an established population. You thin where needed. You transplant volunteers to better locations. You share extra seedlings with neighbors. Over time, it becomes part of your landscape rather than a crop you must constantly reintroduce. Imagine stepping into your garden in early autumn and seeing tall stands of perilla swaying in the light breeze. The leaves may be green or slightly purple underneath, and the flower spikes have turned dry and brown. Inside those small clusters are the seeds of the perilla plant, also known as shiso in Japan. This is where the long-term value of perilla becomes very real. As the growing season ends, perilla flower heads begin to dry naturally on the stalk. Each spike holds a large number of small round seeds. To harvest perilla seeds, cut the mature stalks once most of the seed heads have browned. Hang them upside down in a dry and shaded area with good airflow. Place a cloth, tray, or paper underneath. As the perilla dries, some seeds will fall on their own. After 1 to 2 weeks, gently rub the seed heads between your hands to release the rest. Even a small patch of perilla can produce thousands of seeds. That abundance is one reason this plant has remained part of traditional farming systems for generations. Once cleaned of stems and dust, store perilla seeds in airtight glass jars in a cool, dry place. Properly stored seeds can stay viable for several years. That means you are storing both nutrition and the ability to replant at any time. If you want to produce your own perilla seed oil, you do not need industrial machinery. A small hand-operated oil press is enough for home-scale production. By turning the press slowly, you can cold press perilla seeds and extract oil without damaging the delicate omega-3 fatty acids. The oil yield depends on seed quality, but even modest harvest can provide a steady personal supply. Perilla seed oil is rich in alpha-linolenic acid, the plant-based omega-3 that can reach up to 64% of the oil content. Because omega-3 fats are sensitive to high heat, perilla oil is best used raw. You can add it to salad dressings, drizzle it over cooked vegetables after they cool slightly, or mix small amounts into smoothies. It is not meant for frying. Think of perilla oil as a nutritional finishing oil. From a resilient standpoint, perilla offers something rare. The same plant gives you edible leaves during the growing season and oil-rich seeds at the end. If supply chains are disrupted, perilla seeds stored in your shed can be planted again. They germinate readily when soil warms in spring. In many climates, perilla will even reseed itself naturally. Seeds that fall to the ground often sprout the following year without any effort from you. This self-seeding nature of perilla is central to low-input living. You plant once and manage rather than constantly replant. Instead of buying new seed every season, you allow part of your perilla crop to flower and set seed. The next year, young perilla seedlings appear. You can thin them, transplant them, or share them with neighbors. Over time, perilla becomes part of your land rather than a temporary crop. Perilla plants also provide ecological benefits. Their flowers attract pollinators and beneficial insects. The dense foliage can shade soil and reduce weed pressure. As roots grow and decay, they contribute organic matter to the soil. When integrated carefully, perilla can fit into a diverse garden system without heavy inputs. It is important to monitor how perilla behaves in your area. Because it produces many seeds, it can spread easily. Responsible management means harvesting some seed heads before they drop if you want to limit expansion. In a homestead setting, this is usually simple to control with regular observation. What makes perilla powerful is the combination of traits: edible aromatic leaves, high omega-3 seeds, strong germination rates, multi-year seed viability, adaptability to different soils and climates, minimal fertilizer requirements once established. Few plants offer this many functions in one package. For centuries, families across Asia grew perilla as a normal part of life. It was not marketed as a superfood. It was simply food, medicine, and oil from a dependable plant. Today, as more people look for sustainable systems, perilla deserves a place in that conversation. If you want to continue learning about resilient crops like perilla and practical ways to build self-sufficient systems, subscribe to Low Input Living. Like this video so more people can discover these ideas, share your experience with perilla in the comments. And share this video with someone who wants to grow real food with fewer inputs and greater independence.